It's time to work that career and lift and push and lift and push. You got it. Now harder. Lift and push. It's the career workout.
All right, so for this career workout, we post the question, or you posted the question again on your Facebook page because we seem to get a lot of responses there. Should employers post a salary or a salary range on their job postings? And boy, did we have a lot of responses, right?
We did. And what's great was we actually had some HR professionals chime in. And one did reveal she was an HR professional. The other one did not. So I'm definitely going to honor some anonymity here, just because I don't want to be the one they get mad at and yell at. So, but yes, I mean, how isn't that the thing when you start applying for stuff? Is you look at a job description and you wonder, oh, is that going to pay enough? I know somebody that is in the job market right now. He's trying to find work, and the one thing he's having a hard time with is nobody posted a salary with the job description, so he had no idea what he was applying for. He knew the work he was looking for, and so that's why he applied for the jobs that he did, and he knew the pay he had been getting before, but the pay he's been offered from two potential employers, isn't matching up to what he used to get.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, if I had known, I might not have even, what am I supposed to do with this information now? I'm kind of, they're way deep into it. They've made the offer, and here's the offer. It's like, well, wait a second. You must feel obligated to take the role because you've gotten so invested.
You get all the way to the end, and they give you a salary offer that's way less than you were expecting.
And we don't negotiate.
Now you feel invested, right?
Right. Like you almost have to take it. It's almost like you got baited in and then switched on.
That's not a good way to start a career with somebody, right?
Well, and that's the thing. And so that's why when we got to, that's why this question was put out there is, should this be, should it be out there? And I think a range, like minimum, you'll start somewhere in this area, and it's based on your experience. And I mean, your experience in your interview process. How well do you interview when it comes to that kind of thing? And a lot of people agreed with that because of the main idea was, why waste your time if an employer is looking for somebody with this skill set, but they're not willing to pay you what you had been paid before, then why apply? Why waste their time? Why waste your time? And so I know some states, somebody had posted on there as one of the comments that, Tara Kathleen posted on there, some states require it now. And I don't know which ones, and I should have asked. And she's right, all should. There should be some sort of salary range that says, this is where we're at. And then you can negotiate at least that gives you a negotiation point, if nothing else. Because how many times, and I know women struggle with this the most, and I don't know about guys, but I know in my current role, I went to a male professional that I admired to figure out how to negotiate my current salary.
Right.
And I actually ended up talking with you after the fact to kind of compare notes to see how that looks. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are scared to death to ask for what they think they're worth. But it's like that imposter syndrome has a value to it.
Yeah, and you should always. I think if you don't try and negotiate, you're probably leaving 10 to 20% on the table. So always trying to. I mean, what's the worst going to happen? They're going to say no, and then you're just going to take the original salary they gave you.
Exactly.
It's not like they're going to be like, I mean, now if you came and said, well, this is my bottom number, then they may come back and say, yeah, you're too expensive for us. That's a totally different situation, though.
Yeah. Well, and that's why, I mean, you had shared that with me, and then the individual that I went to is actually Bo. It's the guy I've been dating forever. Mm-hmm. When I asked him, he's like, go ahead.
Wait, you listened to him? We're going to have to have a conversation.
Of course I did. Of course I did. Why wouldn't I? I wanted to get what I wanted, and I knew the way to do that was to go to the source, and I saw where he was at, and it's like, I'm only going to take advice from people I would actually switch positions with, or I won't take criticism from those I won't take advice from. So, and he said the same thing. He's like, ask for what you want. It's like, but what if they say no? He's like, then you still have a job.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
I mean, it's literally a zero-sum loss for you, right?
Exactly. You don't have the money anyway, and so it's just... there should be salary ranges put in there. I'm against the company saying this is what you'll get paid, because it's like, I know that work. It's like you stronghold somebody or somebody gets pinned. And there are employers out there who will recognize your value and say, actually, we're going to offer more than what we normally would for this position because we want you. We value what you bring to the table. Mm-hmm. And there's never a reason why you shouldn't ask that. Now, I've been coaching my friend in his interview process, what to ask, how to handle the interview process. And he came to salary. He's like, well, they just offered me this. I'm like, well, did you counter? He's like, why would I do that? Well, why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Why not try to? And I mean, he's in a position where he's optioned to be out of work for a few months after he separated from his last employer, and he's had the opportunity just to sit back. He didn't have that need, that sense of urgency to get the next job. He's like,
right.
They made an offer. I mean, I don't have a job
Yeah.
anyway. And it's like, and that's the other angle of things is you kind of lose value when you don't have the sense of urgency to get that next paycheck
Sure.
and take
Yeah.
care of your family. or
Yeah,
your
that's a
home.
different situation. But I thought this one was really funny. It kind of cracked me up when I was writing the comment to it. But Megan, I don't know who Megan is or where she works.
She's a good friend of mine. I know
Okay.
who Megan is.
So you know Megan.
I know Megan well. This is
so-
so her personality.
So, but she said basically, I can't do that because everybody who would work here, would be crying in my office. And it's like, well, maybe you should fix the problem and pay people what they're worth. Because if you can't bring in new employees because your salary expectations are so low, then maybe you got a problem. Right?
Well, and you have to understand, Megan, she is our fun friend. She's the one who puts fun in funeral type of friend.
Right.
And so she's got some sarcasm in that comment. But, I mean, she makes a good point. Some employers are not going to pay what their people, they're not valuing their biggest
Yeah.
asset, and that is the workforce. And if you don't value them, that means the culture is going to be crappy, and you're going to see a high turnover. And that happens time and time and time again. And I think any one of us who have worked for an employer with a crappy culture,
Oh, yeah.
and that means you're getting crappy
Yeah.
pay, and that means the turnover is high. It's constant evolving.
Yeah, if there's
rotating
a
door.
permanent neon now hiring sign, it's probably
Neon now hiring.
pretty good chance that they have a high turnover rate.
Like
right?
that neon now hiring. The bank has a neon now hiring sign.
Right.
That's awesome.
I mean,
But yes, that's and so that's one of the things I've heard about one company, and I don't remember which one it is. Maybe you know it. They hired everybody in at the same bottom line, no
Right.
matter who you were, no matter what you did, no matter what your position you were coming in as, you got paid the same, and it was a very high amount. It's one of those things that as a hopeful business owner, one day it's like, I want to be able to do that. And then you work up from there.
Sure.
So everybody starts at the same canvas versus we'll pay you this. And like one employer I got paid one amount, but I didn't have a degree.
Right.
And then a male counterpart came in, and I'm almost certain, I don't have any for sure evidence, but I feel like for sure he got paid more than me because he had the degree. And it's like, well, wait a second here. Like, I
Same
get
job.
that. But I've been doing the work for a couple more years now.
Right.
I'm going to train this guy. And it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, okay, I get it, but I don't want to get it.
Well, and to be certain, I mean, compensation certainly is a tricky thing, right? But,
Right.
a couple of good points are made. Like now there are tools out there. You can go out on the web and there's several online tools that are free.
Yeah.
And it'll tell you what the salary ranges are for the position and the experience you have.
Yeah.
And it not only will it do that, but it'll do it for your local area. So
Yeah.
it'll compensate it for your local area because let's be real. I mean, if you're in California, you're going to need more money than if you're in Kansas
Right.
here. So
Yes, you are.
So yeah, I mean, do your research, find out what the ranges are, and don't let companies hoodwink you on this. And
No joke.
and companies, if you're bringing people in, do the research because I mean you're going to come up with roughly the same numbers.
Yep.
And
And pay your people. Put the value into them.
yeah,
They'll get it back
that's
for you.
Well, I mean that's really easy to say, right? But I think it's harder to do in practice. But I think putting that salary range on the job description allows you to get better candidates. It allows you to show transparency as an employer.
Yeah.
And it really it keeps maybe it doesn't from the HR side, but I think it keeps people from applying to jobs that either they're not qualified for. Or they're overqualified for,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that brings up the last point I really wanted to make was you can really get a sense of what the company's culture is like when you read the job description and then read the job expectations and then read the salary, right? Because I think there's a lot of companies that want the world and then they want to pay you $8 an hour to do that, right?
Right.
So, I mean, if you want somebody that has 10 years experience managing, you're not going to be paying them $8 an hour.
So that
right.
And as you're sitting here talking, I'm kind of thinking about, well, what if it's an internal position you're applying for? Do the same rules apply?
I think so. I would 100% say it does not matter if it's internal versus external.
Really?
And in fact, David,
That would provide some serious transparency within an organization.
Absolutely. But I think if you, I mean, obviously that's going to be hard to do at first for a company that
Right.
hasn't done that, right? But I think if you were to do that, then there's going to be some serious conversations that are had.
Well, yeah, yes, a lot of serious conversation, and I think goes to Megan's point and the comments. You'd have to pay everybody else something different,
Yeah.
and people are going to start realizing, wait a second, you don't value me the way you do them.
Right.
So I think that will turn the transparency curve hard.
Oh, absolutely.
To do that.
And I think it needs to happen. I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
it absolutely needs to happen. And and the other thing is, I mean, David had asked, is it okay to ask what the salary is in the job interview? And my answer back to him was, I wouldn't even get to the interview unless I knew what the salary range was, because I ask
Good
about that
point.
in the first conversation that I have with an employer on the phone. And if they don't know, I say, well, call me back when you know.
Right.
Because it doesn't make any sense to go interview for a job if you're not going to make the amount of money that you want to make
Yeah.
during that, at the end of that process. And so
Yeah.
don't waste everybody's time. Let's all get this out in the beginning. And then if you're in the right range, then okay,
check the
now we
box
can
off.
talk. Yeah.
Well, that's what Amber, she was one of the other commenters on the post that said that she asked that question up front and was, in fact, Jill, I think, and Amber both made the comment. They were both immediately withdrawn from candidacy for the position because of asking for salary. It's like, well, why wouldn't that's a bit of self-respect there that you would ask so you don't waste time.
Yeah.
And it says a lot about that company if they're like, if you're going to ask about money, then we don't want you. Well, but you're in it as a company for the money.
Right.
So,
Oh yeah,
I
it
mean,
works both ways. Totally.
yeah, it's like, I don't understand why this is, but it just, I mean, so yeah, you should know up front. And if you don't know from the job description alone, ask it when you go for that first interview to find out, hey, is this worth my time? Because don't waste your time and don't sell yourself short. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and I would absolutely love to see companies start doing this internally, because I think that it really would make companies bring up the ones that they're paying too low, and it would also make sure that they don't put people in positions that they're overqualified for
Right.
as well. So,
Yep.
yep.
I agree.
Good stuff all the way around.
Can't wait to see what next week is.
Yeah. Well, so we're going to mix things up a little bit this week. We used to do Media Madness, and we've been changing the format of the show up a little bit. So this week we're going to do what's our weekly obsession. Thanks for watching. We'd love to know what you think in the comments. Just let us know below. And remember, that's just a small portion of our entire show that we put on every week. So if you want more of the Biz and Mayhem podcast, you can head over to Facebook or YouTube where you can watch the video versions. Or if you want to just listen to it, you can get the Biz and Mayhem podcast on any of your podcast platforms wherever you listen. Remember just to search for the Biz and Mayhem podcast. And we would really appreciate it if you would go and like our page on Facebook, hit the bell on YouTube, and really share that word about the podcast so we can get more people listening to the show. And again, we do this every week, so we really appreciate you tuning in. Let us know what you think in the comments. And until next time, have fun in the mayhem. The Biz and Mayhem podcast is produced by Check 6 Creative Studio. If you have a podcast or have been wanting to start one, let us know. We'd love to help you produce and edit your podcast. We'd also love to work with your business on marketing and video production. Visit us on the web at check6studio.com. That's CheckSixstudio.com. Let us know you heard about us on the Biz and Mayhem podcast.